delicious co-creators, Lilu here. I'm on the Juicy Living Tour Europe in Son in Norway, south of Oslo. I'm with Sissel. Hello.
Yes, that's right. Hello to you all.
Yes, I'm so thrilled to spend this moment with you and talk about your work. I heard so many beautiful things. First of all, you're 80 years old,
Yes.
and I think you look spectacularly juicy. So
I feel healthy and good as well.
Yes.
Do this Tibetan rites and Qigong every day. And live healthy, I think.
Yeah.
And my work, that gives me so much love. It gives me so much energy. So how can I be really old and sad, as you say? I don't know if you say that in English, but, I can sit there. I have friends that are sitting there. But it's a waste of time because I'm living all the time. All from the morning, early in the morning, up to night, early night.
Yes.
So it's with the nature, of course, I love the nature. And I have animals, dog and cat and hens, just to be in contact. And birds, I walk about in the wood every day. It's so lovely. And greet the trees, or the living nature, the leaves, flowers. I love to use my time when I have holidays in the garden. That's the best. With all these small devas, all this working, they're helping you. You hear about them. Okay, you can.
A little Smurf.
Yes, small dwarfs. Yes, and they're around you. They're playing. Really show you that life is amusing. Happiness, dancing. So much.
Breathing.
Yeah, breathing. Full breathing. I work with breaths, I've written a book about breaths, to breathe deeply. And when I have my clients, I teach them and help them to breathe connected breathings.
Yeah.
So to have all this oxygen, it's just like LSD or drinking. You don't have to drink, you don't have to use other stuff, because you can use connected breathing to get deep into the body, into yourself, and feel this connection with the child inside and with the soul. It's so beautiful. I can tell you that when I work with people, after some time they might go into sadness, sorrow, they're crying, they might scream, go back to deep stuff under the verse. When you're under 2 years old, you don't have a language. They go back to that, to the childhood, and even before that, if I may talk about that, even to previous lives as well.
Yes, we'll talk about that.
And in the time in mother's womb.
Yeah. So you have trained. I have so many questions here, and I'm sure people watching too. So I'll be the connector here, because you've trained thousands of people, practitioners too, and you're like this Norwegian pioneer. You're showing a way. It's so inspiring to meet people at your age that sees what the new generation is seeing, and that you can transmit all of this knowledge to others. You're all about the breathing and life and singing and helping each other, and you're doing this through my understanding through many tools, including past life regressions.
Yes, I do. Yeah. And sometimes, so very often, they go there automatically. They go deep. I had once, when the center was new, I invited to a big meeting just to show what the breathing was, the deep breath, rebirthing was. And I said, only it can be 16 people breathing at the same time. And I just show you, just be careful, just breathe a little, not much, because I don't want you to go deep into things. You just have to try this to see how it works. And that evening, 2 of them went straight out of the body immediately to previous life, and it was really, they screamed their head off, So,
but they were not scared?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And after that, they're floating, the whole group, 16, They were floating. It was wonderful to see. And the other people sitting there watching, they were amazed, because it is amazing. It is amazing to see what it can help you to forget about the thought, forget about the intellect, just to go down into yourself, meet the child inside. Then, of course, you meet your higher self as well.
Where are those memories stored? Are they in the cells? Are they outside of our body? Where does all this happen?
What I think is that they're stored in the cells in the body, everything, because we do know everything. We remember everything. The cells remember all the previous lives, We have had many. And they know about the future. We won't talk about that today, but
yes, we will.
We know everything. That's the thing. We do know, and the body remember. Then all of a sudden you can be back to First World War or whatever, or thousands of years back. But that's not actually, the rebirthing is more for helping people to relax, to be inside themselves, get all this control away from the body. Because we have the control. People are coming, they can be completely stiff. And you can see when people walk, if they have contact with themselves.
This is all very, very interesting, and this is what this work that I'm personally doing is all about, connecting with people like you, so we can go into this deep conversation. What is for you your understanding of why we can be stiff and have challenges in our lives, and things are not smooth and in the natural flow? What is preventing that, and what can we do?
What can we do to be free when you have children? They will not say no, not do this, because they'll be like their parents, and all the parents, they're sort of tightened, it's a bit stiff. And so we carry it with them, all this. We're not seen. We are not seen when we are children. We're coming from the universe, I can say, and like angels, like light. And we are coming to help the people around, to help the parents, to save them in a way. And then it gets so disappointed. It will be so hard for all these small children, because I can see that the parents are unhappy. They are not in contact with themselves. They can say one thing, do other things, and think the third thing, And it makes the children so insecure. And then we grow up, are insecure, and the body are stiffened, you say stiffened, and blocked up. All this are blocked up in the body. So then you can see it on people, how they walk, how they move about. So now we give them the chance to go down and meet this little child while he was coming, when he was little, only a few days old, or before he was actually born into this life on earth. And early childhood, that's so important for them, because it helps them to see, I'm actually a part of the universe. I am a soul, a high being, because what we are learned and what we get from the school and newspapers, from the old people, adults around us, is that we are not worthy, actually. Because we learn...
Not worthy, yeah.
Yeah. We learn shame and sadness, guilt, for instance, to get rid of the guilt, and just to live, and know that you're a spiritual being. That's the most important, and that's what they sort of gain, because they live into it, and they feel it, they lift it in a way. It's so wonderful to see them, how they are changing. So, I went to USA as well, and I learned from Leonard Orr. He was one of the...
You went to India to an ashram? Is that, I didn't understand.
USA. He's working in USA, and he was working in Sweden. Leonard Orr, he's an American guy. and Frank Lake is England, from England. And they at the same time, they sort of found rebirthing, how they can breathe deeply, connected breathing, and then go deep. So I don't know who's the one that started it, but one of those. So I learned.
So the rebirthing is done through the breathing.
Yeah, actually it is, because you don't have to do much. Of course, I touch them, touch the aura, touch the body, and help them, because I can see where the things are sitting. And when they're coming, I ask you to sit there against this white wall, so I can see the aura more clearly, and then I can see where all this sadness or sorrow that they're carrying.
Where do you see that in the aura? How does the aura look like to you? Different colors of auras, and where are those blockages? Does it look like a black dot? How does this all look?
Fortunately, I hardly seen twice only. It was really dark and more black, but usually it's dark green when you sort of goes into like arrows into the aura on different colors. They're very different, and it's different sides, the right one, the left side, around the head, down on the legs, and those things. But you get used to it, and when you can see it, you do see what it is.
Yeah. Do you always had that capacity to see auras and to do this? You always had that capacity to see it.
Yes, I had. I didn't understand it then, because I thought all other people, they could see the same. Yeah. And that was very difficult in my childhood, that I could see when people lied, when they made a lie. And that I was so, how can I lie? Can I make a lie? Because everyone would see it, but people didn't see it. I saw it, so I became very sad then. But after I grew up, I saw that, no, people don't understand that you can see that when they lie. And that makes it, taught me that I could see more than other people. I kept it for myself, but I very often found old people. I could see that's an old soul. I could sit on the road and talk with the workers at the road, because all of a sudden, this is an old soul. I want to talk with him. And I was a little girl. They were talking about their childhood and everything, without me knowing that was a different way of behaving. They wouldn't speak to other people like that. And my father told me once, it's good to see, because you always have to look for the heart in the people. Yeah. Not the education, but the heart and the love. So, that's what I am.
Yeah, so for 40 years, really, you've been using this. In your 30s, you've been really working with this.
Yes, I started in my 30s, yes, early 30s. Yeah. Then I really started with this, because I was a goldsmith, and I worked with all the art. I made jewelry, and I made the paintings, but all sort of, I knew it was something, other things that I should do, but I always followed my heart. So I always been happy in my work. Yeah. But all of a sudden, this popped up, workshop in Norway with rebirthing. So I went to that, and that was really, yeah.
That really touched your heart.
Yes, it did touch my heart, because when I was little, my mother died when I was small. I lost my mother when I was 2 years old, so I was put in a children's home, because my father couldn't handle his work and his children, and so we were put away for some time. And that was terrible, because I was hit there, and I became like that,
stiff,
carved out of wood, you would say. So I stopped crying, because when we cried, we were hit more, and the parents were not allowed to visit us. It was all days, very bad. And then I went back to all this this children's home, and this hitting and pushing away. no feelings. I went back to that in the first rebirthing. And that was breathtaking. You know, I was screaming. 5 people were holding me. I was young and very strong, and I was screaming because I was a grown-up woman with husband and children, you know, but at the same time I was 2-year-old little girl, kept and was hit in this children's home. And that was terrible in the beginning. But then I floated out of my body. All these colors, I get goose pimples on my body when I think about it, because it was so wonderful. I was lying there for a long time, floating out in the universe, and saw that I was a spiritual being, a low being, that everything was low. So that was really lifting me up
Yeah.
Out of that. So after that, I haven't been into that bad.
So just by living it, by going through it, you heal it, kind of thing? Or what happens there when the memory comes up, you live it again? It's tough because you relive it. And then what's there? What takes over?
It takes over that you are back there. As I said, I was back. I was a 2-year-old baby or child, and I was there. You know, I couldn't move. I was screaming. I was back in the situation, saw all the things, remembered it, and cried, and could, go through it in a way. I went deep into it, very, very deep, and then all of a sudden, I stopped breathing. They didn't push me anymore, so I was floating out. And after that, I felt it was such a good help for me. I got rid of that. I got rid of those tough times at the children's home. But I was lucky because some other people have to have a few times.
Yeah.
Of course,
You chose in that moment to what I'm just interested by that moment where you tipped over from experiencing it to releasing. What happened? When does the release happen?
you know, I was just lying. I didn't decide anything. I thought, okay, happen, what will happen? Everything is right. Everything is good. How is this? How will this be? You know, a bit curious about that. Yeah. But then all of a sudden, the body took over. All the memories took over. So I went into this deep, sadness, sorrow, and the feeling I couldn't help it. I couldn't push them away. I was little. They were grown-ups. I couldn't do anything. I was just handled a bad way. So that's what was happening then. And so all of a sudden, I didn't decide that either, but all of a sudden the body stops breathing, the connected breathing, because then you got enough extra oxygen, and you just, all of a sudden you're floating by yourself. So, and then I went out. But I didn't decide that, of course. I was just floating out. I was floating in the universe, and I heard music. Beautiful music, and saw these beautiful colors. I was not aware of anything, but I was lying there for a long, long time. After that, I was so happy. I didn't want to go home to husband and children and dogs again. I thought, I want to stay here because this is so wonderful. But that was the first time. And after that, of course, I went to many workshops and to train myself with other reversers.
So in some way, from my understanding, there is the soul takes over, spirit takes over, and then there's this natural process that comes along with a very, from my understanding, very intelligent body. The body has so much intelligence too, so at some point it does whatever needs to be done so the release is...
Yes, that's just what it has. All the cells has an intelligence, and they know how to do it, how to handle it. Everything goes so smoothly and right, just as it's supposed to do. And we forget about the intellect when you're lying there and you're breathing, connected breathing. You don't think anymore. You have to let your thoughts go in the beginning. You're working with that. on every exhale, you let the thoughts go. And you breathe in again, give yourself attention, and then all of a sudden the body takes over. And then what is supposed to happen that day will happen. And that was most important thing for me was, I guess, the childhood and the stay when I lived in the children's home. So
how do you see now life and happiness and joy and even success? I mean, what does this all mean to you? The life that we live. How do you see it now? Because you feel so free, you know. And we meet you and we see you, and I'm sure it transpires over the video. You're this free spirit. You're liberated.
you see, I'm completely free. Nothing is makes me scared. Everything is supposed to happen as it's decided from above, from the universe, from myself, from my soul, because I was choosing this life. That's the thing. You choose your life to go down again, go into new difficulties, or they're lying there in front of you to be sold. To go into and through it. Don't go around. But so everything is right, and I feel very happy. That's the thing. It's a deep connection with the soul and myself and the body, the little child inside. So I feel whole and happy. Yeah. So and the success doesn't interest me actually, and the money and all this to be famous is nothing. The thing is to live a simple life and do my work and meet people, meet their soul. And that's good. You know, that makes it, everything, all the work makes it worth it. 'Cause
I've heard you in an interview say that, I hate seeing those girls with a big smile and that don't mean it, and this inauthenticity. And you tell us about this because some people think they're happy or pretend to be happy, and it's a whole facade. And behind it, there can be so much anger and lies. Tell us about this, because I have a feeling some people might see this video and it might be of interest or help them realize something.
Yes, because I call them nicey girls. It's not nice to say that. But they're sitting there, they come to the workshop, they're smiling. They smile and they smile. They're so nice to each other and to me. And then I start to interview them or talk to them, you know, and I can see their faces. They become so sad. And I say, you're still smiling. Are you aware that you're still smiling? And you feel this deep sadness. You have contact with your childhood, and that was you was mistreated and misused, and you're smiling. Can you please stop smiling? And then they stop smiling, and they start to cry, and that's releasing, you know, because then they can talk. They get a bit deeper. So of course after that we work with the touch and the movements and the breathing. So then, so they are not, when they leave my school, though, they're not nice girls anymore. They're more real, honest, direct. They have the contact, and they can have the respect for themselves, you know. That's a very important thing, to see what you are, that you are a human being, very worthy. That is, without you, without me, it would be a big, the universe will collapse. Because everyone is so important in this world. And to see that, to understand it yourself, and really realize, I'm worthy, I'm a soul, and I'm love. I want to work with the love to myself. Because, you know, we have to work with the love to ourselves. You can't love anyone else if you do not love yourself. That's the thing. And that's what people say. They love from solar plexus. They can do nice things. They're treating each other so nice. They're helping their nurses, their doctors, they're everywhere. Social workers. But first, when you see people that love themselves, that have the contact inside, really can appreciate themselves, then it's a different kind of love, you know. It's so different. It's so, then they embracing in a way. Yeah. I hope I can describe it like I think it. It's always difficult in another language.
No, but I think we hear you beyond the words. These interviews are all about that, more just being present and talking, because people are getting things through the camera and through this video that are beyond your words. So I'm getting it, they're getting it. I'm sure I could feel this. The message is going through. You're talking here of the beautiful, deep, unconditional love, this connection to all that is. This unity, you feel connected to the flowers, to the wind, to...
Yeah, to everyone. And I remember 3 lives as an Indian. And that was, you know, they're really in contact. They're very in contact with the nature. And I have it from there, I think. I walk barefoot and I walk very quietly when I walk in the wood. I don't want to make noise. I can get near to the birds and the wild animals. It's so wonderful. It's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
And we are, because all of us, it would be so good if you all understand that we are part of the world and the wholeness. We are a wholeness, that we're building a new world together. You know, only based on love, love, love. Even love your animals, as Jesus said, that's written in the Bible. Many good things are written there, even if I took a lot out of the Bible that should have been there. Yeah. But to love everyone, after some time with this work, you can love everyone, that's for sure.
And forgive.
Forgive. Then you forgive. And the enemy is not an enemy anymore. It is, well, he or she is there, and you can love them. That's the way to cure people, I think. Yeah. And that's the way we're going towards this, because we're going into a new world. It will be transformation completely in not too long, because more and more people understand this. That love is the only thing that carries about, and that is the solution for everything. No war, no fight to get more money, to get wealth, to get this high, to stay high in the society. That's so ridiculous, because it's no sense at all. Why? That doesn't make you happy. It's the connection with yourself, and this fully accept, and of course then you tolerate other people as well, because you won't judge them. Why should you judge them? They will judge themselves when they get over onto the other side. Everyone is judging themselves. It's no God sitting there and judging you, but they will feel it themselves.
Do you get a sense that we're God and goddesses, that we're divine beings, and that we're capable of the same thing that Jesus, for example, was able to do, or some other people shown us throughout history?
Well, he was he was teaching love. That was Jesus, the job he has. And he was helping a lot of people on his time when he was living. And I met him there as an Escher in a previous life. And I went back to that life as well and saw that. It was really, and then I was killed when I was a boy, but I remember after meeting him, because all the Esschers, they took the suicide, because they knew the Romans were coming. You might not take this in the interview, but it's interesting, because I can remember since I was young, I had the honor to be killed first in a way. So I once, many years ago, in a regression. Before this regression, I said I was coming to that. I got a sore on my back. I know nothing could cure that sore. And my secretary, she said, well, what can we do about that? You really have a big sore like this. Okay. After that regression, they used a knife to kill me, and just on that spot. And a few days after this regression, and I saw this previous life, the sore was gone, was healed in a few days. So you have it on your body as well. You can have signs on your body. Yeah, it's written a lot of books about that. I'm sure you've seen them. So we can have signs to where we were shot, how we were treated in previous lives.
I find that super interesting to also talk. Do you sometimes re-experience positive lifetimes? Because most of the time when we speak about past regressions, it's about the traumas and the karma. And when I was in Sweden recently, did this interview on past regression with this lady Annika, and she also works on the good stuff so that we can remember those good lives and re-energize our body with it and reintegrate it. Isn't that's juicy?
Yeah, it's juicy, as you say. It's because it's just wonderful, because it makes you so happy, and I have many wonderful lives, and I went back to them, and I've seen myself in Tibet, in Russia, in monasteries, and living in India with a happy young girl, ready to marry. And so you really go into happy life as well. Usually you go into the difficulties in the beginning because it's so needed, because you're tied down with this control on the body, so then you can let the control go. And you get rid of these blocations, and then you can go into all these beautiful things. But as I said, in the first rebirthing I had, I went into this deep stuff. I was crying, but after that I was floating. It was so happy. So you can recall this happiness, and that you make your life and make your days and work. Because then everything you do, you can be happy in all kinds of work. Because you're worthy, you are yourself, a soul in a human body. So that's easy enough to go into this happy life, good life, very good.
What is your advice for people that have fear coming up? Is there a little exercise or an exercise that you recommend people doing? Because so many stuff are coming up right now for everybody around the world, and there's a lot of suffering, and there's those panic attacks that could happen, or some old fears out of nowhere that start to pop up again. I mean, what can we do?
It's so many good exercises, actually. It's a book written by Donna Eden. She has many of those very good exercises. Instead of me sitting here showing it, I can show one of them. Is to we call this kidney 27, this point. And then you put down there, breathe in through the nose 4 times. And then you come in contact with yourself. You sort of loosen the stress, help you to let the stress go, to be more in contact. But we have many exercises, actually. I could give the publication for her book, because I think it's so good. So that I want to buy that. But I will learn it from therapists as well. And to go breathe when you get scared. What we do is to stop breathing, because it's so scary, so terrible. But if I can breathe, not connected breathing, but deep breath, deep harmonic with a little, wait a little, and then you deep in again, hold and out. Just to go down and be in contact here. Do the best I can to do that. That's a very good advice. Because, don't go into connected breathings when you're alone. Because then you can get into these fears and very bad situations that you lived through earlier in this life. Because I had one client, she was coming here for a workshop, and we had 3 rebirthings. And she went home and she started to work on her own. And I said, don't do it, don't practice this, except if you haven't had 20 rebirthings already with a therapist. And she went into so cramps, and so much fear. She had to come back here and stay here for 14 days so we could work through all that. So
not to take this lightly.
don't take it lightly, and do not practice it. Connected breathing yourself, but deep breath. And you can put one hand here and one hand there, to have the connection. The love to yourself, and here to all this happening, all the deep stuff in you, and breathe. You can do that when you go to bed as well. All this deep breathing. And don't let the thoughts go on exhale. That will help you anyway. It will be good to have a therapist. If you have a good therapist, you have to choose one that has trained with this for some time, I think.
How do you choose a good therapist?
That was a very good question. Very good question. You have to listen to the heart. You can see their names, phone numbers. I remember my first car. I should buy the first car. Why should I? I just opened a newspaper, put my hand there. Help me to find a good car. I should buy a used car. And I went to buy it, and he said, "Aren't you going to try it, to drive it?" No, why should I? Said, I meant to have that car. But I had it for many years. It was a good car. You can do that with everything, actually, because you have to listen to your heart, stop thinking. But that's not the easiest. I know that. It's not easy to stop thinking.
Especially when there's something at stake or something that we want to.
Yes, you have a very, very high up there. But relax. And it's the first thought. It's the first, you get a glimpse of light. And yes, that's right. I take that person. I do this. Try it. And that will be better than to talk and to phone call and said, try to hear their voices. That's very disturbing if you're going to do that. Yeah. So you can find it if you listen to yourself. That's a training, of course, but start listening. Yeah. Start listening to yourself, what happens inside and what is sort of moving inside here. Take yourself seriously in a good way, with humor and laughter and everything, because a lot of laughter in this work. Yeah. Really, it's a good work. Because we dance and we sing and we move to get the bodies free. This is very good. So
fire, I'm burning inside.
Yes, burning. The fire is there. So say yes to the fire.
Yes to the fire.
Yes to the fire, and go into all the life that lives inside you. That all depends what kind of person you are, of course. Because astrology and all those things, when are you born? I'm not going into astrology now. But it's easy for some people to dance and to work and be lively, of course. But everyone can work on that. And to get in contact with themselves, if they really dare to do it. Because there's a fright in there. I dare not, because I don't think I'm good enough. We do think that we're not worthy.
Yeah. That's the biggest womb, isn't it?
It is. And the shame, and the guilt that we took on ourselves from the parents, from adults around us. Because the child, when it's born, it's so free.
Pure.
Pure connection, angels from God coming down to help the people on earth. Yeah. And they're really helping. But then the people and the parents start to say no and to make them sort of well-behaved, as I say. If they could...
And fit in.
Yeah, if they could be allowed to play around, it would be very good. It would be better for them. Yeah.
To end this beautiful conversation, is there, if you can kind of summarize your message to humanity, something that you want to leave, is something that is really important for, I know it's hard sometimes to contain it in a few sentences, but what would be the core of what you want to transmit and share on this passage here on earth?
That you're creating your own life with every thought you have. Because the way you are thinking, you'll be like that. Because you create the world my world is a good world, it's my world, you're creating your world. So you will see it differently, people will see it differently. It is to work with yourself and to under love, that everything is love, and receive the love, because it's pouring, the prana is pouring towards us, like a sort of rain. You can see it sometimes, like a sort of golden rain. So yes, acceptance and love, and to know that you are changing the world, you're changing yourself, making your own time, own world. That's the most important thing, yes. It's a golden fly that wants to touch you on the shoulder. Yes, because I think that in very few words, that will be the most important thing. And to accept, don't judge other people, do not judge, because they are free to be themselves, to build their world, and they to have to go into their karma, and what they decided before they came here to this earth. So be honest to yourself. Take your dance and laugh and sing, and take your own child and a grown-up person seriously. Yeah, accept yourself. Really look up to yourself. You are part of God. Good.
Thank you so much for this delicious, juicy conversation. I'm excited to share it with as many people as possible all over the world. This is a beautiful, beautiful, magnificent message. I want to hear this every single day and live it.
Thank you. Yeah, live it. And I greet you all. Om Namah Shivaya. That means that I greet God inside you from God inside me. The same to you.
Much love, my delicious co-creators from beautiful, sunny Norway. Soon. Bye.
Goodbye to you. Thank you. Thank you all.
delicious co-creators. Lilu here. I'm on the Juicy Living Tour Europe in Son in Norway, south of Oslo. I'm with Sissel. Hello.
Yes, that's right. Hello to you all.
Yes, I'm so thrilled to spend this moment with you and talk about your work. I heard so many beautiful things. First of all, you're 80 years old,
Yes.
and I think you look spectacularly juicy. So
I feel healthy and good as well. Do these Tibetan rites and qigong every day. And live healthy, I think.
Yeah.
And my work, that gives me so much love. It gives me so much energy. So how can I be really old and sad, as you say? I don't know if you say that in English, but I can sit there. I have friends that are sitting there, but it's a waste of time because I'm living all the time, all from the morning, early in the morning, up to night, early night. Yes. So it's with the nature. Of course, I love the nature, and I have animals, dog and cat and hens, just to be in contact. And birds, I walk about in the wood every day. It's so lovely. And greet the trees, all the living nature, the leaves, flowers. I love to use my time when I have holidays in the garden. That's the best. With all the small devas, all this working, they're helping you. You hear about them. Okay, you can.
a little Smurf.
Yes, small dwarfs, yes. And they're around you, they're playing. Really show you that life is amusing, happiness, dancing. So much.
Breathing.
Yeah, breathing. Full breathing. I've worked with breaths, I've written a book about breaths, to breathe deeply. And when I have my clients, I teach them and help them to breathe, just to go down into yourself, meet the child inside. Then, of course, you meet your higher self as well.
Where are those memories stored? Are they in the cells? Are they outside of our body? Where does all this happen?
What I think is that they're stored in the cells in the body, everything, because we do know everything. We remember everything. The cells remember all the previous lives, We have had many. And they know about the future. We won't talk about that today, but
yes, we will.
We know everything. That's the thing. We do know, and the body remember. Then all of a sudden you can be back to First World War or whatever, or thousands of years back. But that's not actually, the rebirthing is more for helping people to relax, to be inside themselves. Get all this control away from the body. Because we have the control. People are coming, they can be completely stiff. And you can see when people walk, if they have contact with themselves.
This is all very, very interesting, and this is what this work that I'm personally doing is all about, connecting with people like you, so that you can transmit all of this knowledge to others. You're all about the breathing and life and singing and helping each other, and you're doing this through my understanding through many tools, including past life regressions.
Yes, I do. Yeah. And sometimes, so very often, they go there automatically. They go deep. I had once, when the center was new, I invited to a big meeting just to show what the breathing was, the deep breath, rebirthing was. And I said, it can be 16 people breathing at the same time. And I just show you, just be careful, just breathe a little, not much, because I don't want you to go deep into things. You just have to try this to see how it works. And that evening, 2 of them went straight out of the body immediately to previous life. And it was really, they screamed their head off, So,
but they were not scared?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And after that, they're floating, the whole group. 16, they were floating. It was wonderful to see, and all the people sitting there watching, they were amazed, because it is amazing. It is amazing to see what it can help you to forget about the thought, forget about the intellect, connected breathings. So to have all this oxygen, it's just like LSD or drinking. You don't have to drink, you don't have to use other stuff, because you can use connected breathing to get deep into the body, into yourself, and feel this connection with the child inside and with the soul. It's so beautiful. I can tell you that when I work with people, after some time they might go into sadness, sorrow, they're crying, they might scream, go back to deep stuff under the verse. When you're under 2 years old, you don't have a language. They go back to that, to the childhood, and even before that, if I may talk about that, even to previous lives as well.
Yes, we'll talk about that.
And in the time in mother's womb.
Yeah. So you have trained. I have so many questions here, and I'm sure people watching too. So I'll be the connector here, because you've trained thousands of people, practitioners too, and you're like this Norwegian pioneer. You're showing a way. It's so inspiring to meet people at your age that sees what the new generation is seeing. And